What's going on, hustlers? It's Cantave back at you guys with another video. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be discussing the 5 things you need to consider when you are picking a product. That's a typo. That's supposed to say picking a product to sell to DLA. I'm not going to fix it though because I'm raw. I'm authentic. I show you guys I make mistakes. I'm one take Tony. I just get on here, I turn on the camera, and I let it rip. So before we get into that, I want to say thank you guys so much for the growth. Remember, I'm giving away a free acronym PDF to understand all of the acronyms that you will see in solicitations and then in government contracting in general. You just have to reach out to me via Instagram, shoot me a DM, and you got to be following me for a response. If you have any questions, you can DM me via Instagram. Just hit me and you got to be following me for a response. And let's see what else is new. So waiting for my check ride, just patiently waiting for that check ride so that way I can go back to Fort Lauderdale to do that packaging video. God willing, it's going to happen within the week. So that's where we're at. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers though. We need to get to 5K. 5,000. I got two asks for you guys, two tasks. We need to get to 5,000 subscribers so that way I can show you guys how to properly submit a bid in Dibs, because there's not a single trace of that on the internet. There's not a single video, there's not a manual, no nothing. We'll be the first people on the internet to talk about how to do that. So we need to get to 5,000 subscribers. And the videos have been doing really well. Every single video is getting about like 700 to 1,000, like sometimes even like 1,200 views, right? So we're averaging about 700 to 1,200 views per video. I don't want to focus on that. Let's focus on likes. Let's get this video to 100 likes consistently. Let's get this video to 100 likes. You know what? Fuck it. Let's aim high. Let's get this video to 200 likes. 200 likes. And yeah, we're going to keep it rolling. Videos coming at you guys every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday of the week. Now, without further ado, let's get into the 5 things to consider when picking a product to sell to DLA. Bow. Number 1, how frequently does DLA buy? Okay, so this is a big one, right? You could find a product, right? Let's just say waffle makers, specifically waffle makers. We're not even talking about kitchen appliances. You could find a product, right? You've got a great vendor. You're getting great pricing. All the other factors that we're going to talk about later on in the video are checked. It makes sense logistically. You're able to ship it. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to spend all my time getting pricing on all these different waffle makers. However, if DLA only buys waffle makers certain times of year, right? Let's just say Valentine's Day and then Christmas. So February and then December, right, is when DLA is buying them. Yeah, that's great that DLA is buying all these waffle makers and you can get them for super cheap, or you can get them well under the market rate. But if DLA is not buying them that many times a year, it's not even worth your time to start looking at something like that. Especially if you're a startup and you're trying to build that past performance, right? You want to rack up as many contracts as you can within a short time frame. So if you're selling something and you start in January, they buy a whole bunch in February, but then they don't buy anything from you for the next 10 months, then you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And the way that you can check to see how frequently DLA is buying something is on FPDS, which again is in the market research video. I don't know how that video hasn't blown up. That video literally gives you guys all the sauce that you need. Like everything that I'm going to tell you guys in this video, if you just go into FPDS and cross-reference this information that I'm telling you to look for with what's in FPDS, you can pick some very, very unique things. So number 1, how frequently does DLA buy it? Let's see. Number 2, what certs and logistics are required? Okay, so this is actually a really big one. And I could have done what certs are required and then logistics separately, but I was like, I'm just going to combine this into one because these are both kind of important. So when I work with clients, right, we teach them how to determine which contracts are feasible and then which ones is just like, okay, you shouldn't even waste your time on. And we just combine the certs as well as the logistics of the contract together into one search. So when I say what certs and logistics are required, when I say logistics, I mean, where is the contract being inspected and who's paying for the shipping? If it says FOB destination, not telling you not to bid on it, but that just means you're going to be paying for the shipping. And then if it says inspection origin, that means the government is coming to your facility to conduct the inspection. So again, neither of those things are like end all be alls, right? If you have to pay for the shipping, okay, so be it. Just be aware that eats into your margin. Inspection origin, we teach we teach you guys how to create systems in place, how to have standard operating procedures, how to have quality assurance stuff. So if you have any questions about that, or you want a checklist, or you want essentially like a guide that tells you how to do that, click the link below to schedule a call with me and the team at Namyad LLC, and we teach you guys how to do that. The thing about inspections, right, is those inspections get conducted by DCMA, which is the Defense Contract Management Agency. DCMA is independent of DLA. They don't care if your lead time is coming up in the next 20 days. They're going to tell you, hey, this is not going to ship until you've got standard operating procedures. We know your quality assurance is good, and you're taking all the necessary steps that you need to inspect the products that you're going to be providing to the federal government. So DCMA will literally just hold that shipment up, and then you can end up shipping it late because the inspection is taking a long time. So that's the logistics aspect. Now, certs. So Richard and I briefly talked about this in that video. So go watch how Richard made 500K in less than 1 year. He did it in about 9 months. When we met him, he was doing 100,000, and then within 9 months of working with us, now he's at 500,000, and he's doing, at a minimum, I know it's 15% margin, but it's higher than that because he sends me some contracts where he's doing like 30-40% margin. So, but we talked about the certs, right? If you don't have an ISO cert and you see that DLA is requiring an ISO 9001 cert, just move on from it, because if you win the contract and then you're like, oh wait, I need to get the ISO cert, and you tell DLA, hey, I can't immediately perform this, they're going to cancel it, like no questions asked. So an ISO cert you don't want to deal with. JCP you don't want to deal with. So that has to do with tech docs, which I first noticed this like earlier this year. It used to be that there would be some contracts that don't have tech docs, and you could still get a JCP cert requirement in the solicitation. But I've been noticing, like with solicitations that have been posted in like the last 6 months or so, it's very rare to see a JCP cert requirement for something that doesn't have technical data attached to it. But you still want to be searching for JCP, like Command F the contract, right, to make sure that that's not required for you to fulfill and perform on the contract. Then sample reports or lot testing reports. Again, something that's not an end all be all. It's just an additional cost. So you have to pay your manufacturer to either provide you with the testing reports of the sample. So let's say that they were selling, like, just for instance, like these headphones here, right? JBL. Let's keep it easy. Let's say JBL made 1,000 of these headphones, right? And then I know that these are JBL Endurance 3s. So these are water resistant up to a certain depth, and then also for a certain amount of time. But when JBL manufactured these, they conducted a test on the sample, or they conducted a test on the lot, right? So out of 1,000, let's just say there's 20 lots, 50 each, right? 50 each in each lot. They conducted a test, and then they did reports. Like, so they were like, okay, this batch of headphones did meet the performance standards, right? And then they will document that, and then it becomes a report. And then sometimes DLA will ask for a lot test report. Sometimes they'll ask for a sampling report. So if they take a sample of it. So sample and lot test reports, they're not the same, but they're similar in nature, meaning that the manufacturer has to conduct tests of some kind, then document that, and then send that over to you. If their manufacturer has not already conducted those tests, it's going to be an extra fee for them to send you the report. And then even if they did conduct the test, sometimes they won't give those to you, for free anyways. So those are some of the big certs that you want to be looking for. And then logistically, right, we want the government to pay for the shipping. We want the inspection to be done at the destination, not at the origin. And then also just kind of common sense. Don't bid on something that you don't have the logistical capabilities to ship. So if you're living in an apartment, don't bid on ice machines, right? Like the big ones that you see outside of gas stations. Like don't do that, right? So that's number 2. What certs and logistics are required? Boom. Number 3, who are your competitors? So keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Now, obviously, we're all supporting the men and women who are boots on the ground in the U.S. of A, or for the U.S. of A, right? We all support the same red, white, and blue. All of our soldiers, they wear the same green, right? But in this instance, in a business sense, right, the people that are selling the stuff that you want to sell and are beating you out, those are your competitors. So you want to keep tabs on them. FPDS, again, that tool is a godsend. I don't know why it's not more popular. I don't know how the video that I made on it hasn't blown up, but go look and search the FSC code specifically of the products that you're selling, and look to see who's winning this stuff. And then you can see what the total unit size is in the contract. So let's say it's 100 units, and then they're going at the total contract size was $100,000. So you know your competitor is pricing this at $1,000 a unit, right? So then when you're submitting your bid, obviously don't go in at $1,500 a unit. Or sometimes it's like War Dogs, right? In that instance, when they won that contract, I think they were like almost 50 million cheaper than the next guys, right? So if your pricing is so much more competitive than everybody else's, don't sell yourself short and then bid yourself significantly under market value. Just bid yourself cheaper than your competitors. So keep in mind what your competitors are paying, or what the price that they're offering it at, and then also look to see who your competitors are. Like, look at their cage code. See, are they woman owned? Are they hub zone? Are they an SDVOSB? Are they a small business? Where are they located? Kind of thing. Are they in proximity to one of DLA's supply depots? That could be another thing. They might just be going to industry days that aren't published for the public, and they might just be meeting people and developing relationships, right? So keep an eye on who your competitors are, what price your competitors are selling these products at, and then how frequently they're selling them. Number 4, how many solicitations are open for it? Wait, what was the first one? Oh, how many solicitations are there open for it? Okay, cool. So this is a bit different than the first one. The first one I said, how frequently does DLA buy it, right? Somebody could buy something or DLA could buy something in February and then again in December, right? Now, this one is a bit different because there could be, I don't know, let's say a whole bunch of unopened or unclosed solicitations, unawarded. Sorry, guys, long day. There could be a whole bunch of solicitations that are unopened, right? And then DLA awards them in certain times of the year, right? So that's one thing. But then you also want to make sure, okay, if you see that DLA is buying this, like in FPDS, at least monthly, right? So they're buying at a minimum once a month, but there's only like 36 solicitations open. That means that they're only going to be awarding this 3 times a month, which, I mean, I'm not here to tell you whether or not that's sustainable for your business. You know your metrics, you know your goals, what you're trying to achieve. However, 3 times a month, that might not be enough for somebody. If you're trying to get to $500,000 in less than a year, that might not be enough for you. I know that with bearings, I need stuff that, or I know that with bearings, I'm bidding on something that DLA is awarding multiple times a month. Like, I would have months where I would win 15 to 20 contracts and they're all bearings and they're awarding that multiple times a month over the duration of a year, right? So how many solicitations are there for it? I know that with bearings there's 3,000 open. There was one that I was looking at. I won't say exactly what it is. I'll give you guys a hint, but there's a client that I have that's working on it specifically, but it's kind of related to the construction side. It's really more of like a trade though. It's like a trade that people do, and he was selling equipment for that trade, and they had I think it was like 1,100 solicitations open just for that kind of product. So when we were going through that, we were like, okay, this is something that's sustainable for you to build a business out of, because let's say there's 1,000 of them. By the time you RFQ for all 1,000 solicitations, that's going to take you at least a couple weeks. And by the time you finish that, you can go back to the first page and then there will be new solicitations open and posted for it, right? And then outside of those new solicitations, you can even look at some of the ones that maybe you skipped that somebody wasn't able to get you pricing for, or maybe it was taking you a long time to bid on, and then you just didn't get a chance to submit it, right? So how many solicitations are there for it? Essentially, how many opportunities do you have to sell that product? If something is limited, then you might want to pass on it. And I can't tell you what's limited to you. If limited is 10 solicitation opportunities per product, then skip it. For some larger companies, it might be, okay, if there's only 100, then it's limited, so you want to skip it, right? So that's number 4. How many open solicitations are there for it being the product? Number 5, what is the unit of issue? This is such a major one, such a major one. So I have a client right now that I'm working with, and he's selling, I'm not going to say exactly what, but he's selling like these valves, these hoses. I can't say what the industry is just for his privacy, but the unit of issue was each, right? And it was 3 each. But when you're selling hoses and valves, it's like, okay, is each 3 feet? Is each each going to be 3 1-foot hoses? So that depends. And then I worked with another client that was selling something, and it was kits. And a kit, that one in particular, it was comprised of 8 different items. And then like one item they wanted 40 units of, and then another item they wanted 50 units of. And then I worked with another client and they were selling something and the unit of issue was box. And then in each box, there were 10 individual units. So what is the unit of issue? Please pay attention to this because this is the easiest way to get burned, I think, in my opinion, outside of like underpricing something, messing up the unit of issue, because you might bid on something from, let's say, McMaster Car. And I talked about this in a previous video. And then McMaster Car is selling these things to you individually, but DLA is asking for boxes. And then in each box, there's 100. You might just, and DLA might ask for 10, right? So then you get a quote from McMaster Car for 10 individual units. And then you look at your pricing, you compare it to the procurement history and like, wow, I'm way under there, right? And then you go and you submit your bid, you win, you're all giddy. Then when it comes time to ship and you're looking and then you see 10 boxes, each box has 10 units. It's really 100 and you only got a quote for 10. Then it's like, okay, now you're big time in the red. So please, please, please pay attention to what is the unit of issue. So those are my 5 factors that I want you guys to be considering when you are picking a product for DLA. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching all the way to the end. Remember, you can email me. The email is going to be in the link below. Or in the description below. You can DM me for that free acronym PDF that breaks down all the acronyms you'll come across in government contracting. You do have to be following me for a response, or if you're looking specifically for some coaching and guidance in the DLA space, you can also hit the link to our website where you will be able to book a time to speak with the team on our calendar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, not only am I looking forward to your success, but I'm sure of it. See you guys next time.